you are already connected to the people you need to be connected to move your business forward. The issue is you're not approaching those connections properly. So
Hmm.
my recommendation is reach back out to people in your network that you really like, you enjoy, but maybe you're not working together or they're not referring you business, and get them back on the calendar and have a connection meeting. And in a connection meeting, what I want you to do is I want you to listen. Ask the person a bunch of questions. Who are they? Why are they serving them? What is their service offering? Ask some backstory. How'd you get here? Ask where they're going. What's the dream? What's the big vision? Ask them about their challenges. And then ask them who you can connect them with. Reset these conversations you're having with your network so that your network doesn't go, oh, Devin's here to sell me something. No, Devin's here to add value to me. Devin is adding value to me. Devin is making connections. And because he's doing those things, it unlocks people's willingness to want to make connections for me, people's willingness to want to help me. And so re-engage your network, get meetings on the calendar and show up differently. And you'll see what happens when you network and do these meetings in a different way.
Welcome to the Aro Benaiah Show. Today we are joined by Devin Sizemore, a business strategy, connector, and best-selling author who help thousands of entrepreneurs grow their network and scale their business through relationship that truly matters. Devin is a creator of the Connector Expansion System, a proven framework for generating consistent inbound referral, and founder of Ace Connection Group, a powerful community built on the belief that relationship drive results. From owning multiple business across industry to building systems that make networking scalable. Every story shows that one great connection really can change everything. Devin, it's really a pleasure having you on the show.
Thanks so much for having me. Looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, thank you. So Devin, what was it like growing up for you?
Yeah, it's fun when people ask the question. I share kind of two perspectives. So the first is I was born an entrepreneur. And so as a kid, I was always the kid hustling, trying to make money some way, some shape, some form. I didn't grow up in an entrepreneurial household though. My parents were managers. And so I saw hard work and work ethic, but something inside me inspired me to want to be a business owner. And other than that, yeah, just, great upbringing, but fell into business.
Wow, amazing. So Devin, you have built your career around the power of connection. What first inspired you to make networking your life?
Necessity. So when I had I call it my first big business, I had a digital marketing agency and I found myself in a really crowded marketplace with a lot of competition that approached business from a scarcity mindset. And so it was I don't know, it just didn't feel good. Like it felt like we were all competing in a way that I didn't like. And so I wanted to do the game differently. So I really looked at how do we network in a different way? How do we connect with people in a different way that feels authentic to me and that everybody wins and nobody loses? And so when I started down that path, I started to realize, oh, there is a different way. And if I do it authentically and I add value to others and I have a system and a process and I teach myself how to optimize how I show up and what my ask is, it produces amazing results. And the more I leaned into it, the better the results got. And that's how I built every one of my companies. And today I'm, super blessed because I get to do it for a living. So it's kind of full circle, right? It came out of necessity and now it's what I get to focus on.
Wow, this is really amazing because every business rise and fall on the business deal they have, the fact that referee comes around every now and then, and it's really amazing because I'm just thinking about uh having to learn any particular skills or starting any particular new job where there is no customer. It's quite frustrating and sometimes can lead to more like the close down on business. But the fact that you could actually build connection that you can leverage on owing to business and getting referrals is really amazing. So many professionals struggle to get consistent referrals. What is the biggest reasons most people fail at it?
Yeah, it's a big challenge. And we've probably all been the other side of it. So if you're not the one struggling, you probably experienced the other side of this. And so the biggest problem is either how you approach it or what your ask is. So it's one of the two. How you approach it, people go wrong there because they show up to networking trying to close deals. And so it's a sales first mentality and it puts up all of these walls to being able to connect. The other side of it is the ask. So when people ask you, hey, who can I connect you with or who can I refer you to? Everyone stays in this lane of answering with your ideal client. But the best ask is answering for the people who have access to your ideal client. So one thing I tell people is I teach you how to network without targeting clients. And a lot of people freak out. They're like, well, wait a second.
Mm.
Like I'm supposed to network to get clients. Yes. But if that's all you lead with, it really limits how people can connect with you. So if people ask, hey, Devin, who can I connect you with? I want to meet mastermind hosts and community hosts. Why? Because we can collaborate. There's partnerships. I can add value to them. They can add value to my group. They can solve problems for my clients. It creates this partnership and then there's no friction. But again, most people's asks are, hey, I'm a realtor. I'm looking for this kind of first time home buyer. And now everyone you're talking to is like, well, I don't really know anyone that does that. And if I do I want to introduce them to you? Right off the get go with networking, we either have the wrong approach, we're just chasing clients, or we have the wrong ask, both of which set everybody up to fail.
Wow, this is really, really amazing. I think especially in this day and age at time, we're more like when you pitch your ideas about your business to anybody, they feel like you are selling to them, and people doesn't want to be sold to. So just this particular approach is quite really amazing on how to connect with people. And yeah, not really from the standpoint of wanting them to kind of be you a client and your customer, but the part that you just want to connect with them. Because definitely people do business with who they know and who they came to trust, and this really just speak volume. So you have talked about our connection expansion system. Can you walk us through what is like and how does it work?
Yeah, so the connection expansion system is covered in my book. It's also in the masterclass of my course. From a high level, it covers the whole process of networking. So who do we target and ask for? What kind of event should we go to? When we go to an event, what questions do we ask? How do we follow up from the event? So what's the email script or language? How do we book a connection meeting? How do we conduct a connection meeting? How do we follow up from the meeting? How do we nurture long term? How do we add value? And then how do we use our CRM to support and track all of it? So all of that is the system. And 100% of it is in the book or the master class. And I truly try to give everything because I don't want you to think that, you have to learn more. Like I want you to understand today you could implement the system and you can start seeing results.
Wow, wow, amazing. It just more like how will I make reference of this now? It just dawned on me that when I was in school, I actually used a bit of this because I remember back then, I joined an organization in school. I was into painting and industrial cleaning. In the organizations was solely to actually more like get a whole lot of clients, but I did sound like it's been that I handle projects, did a whole lot of stuff. And owing to the fact that I show up on the platform every now and then, once any job arrive where they need my services, yeah, people just more like refer me like as the main key person of influence in that particular field, effortlessly without me even needing to see anything on the group or more like. So it really just dawned on me that wow, that was how I actually get a hold of my clients when I was in school. Yes, and yeah, do some couples of things and you connect with people easily and they get kind of bring a whole lot of value to you. So why do you believe that relationship drive results and how has that belief shaped your business journey?
Yeah, it's relationships are everything. I saw a LinkedIn post right before I got on and I loved it. One of my buddies is in the hiring career industry and he said, "Remember, the people you hiring are people." And I think that that statement goes for everything. And so our tagline is real people having real conversations, making real connections.
Oh,
And at the end of the day, I think that's what we all miss, right? We have to remember that we're people, right? We enjoy things, we like things, we want to be treated a certain way. So does the other person, whether it's the client, the new person we're meeting, the person we're networking with. And so I really think that in this age of social media expansion, of AI, quick adoption, people are craving community, they're craving connection, they're craving the people, they're craving this, they're craving conversation. And so I fundamentally believe that a lot of people out there who are struggling in closing deals, they're struggling to get their pipeline to work. It's because they're doing all of these things that are outside of their control. And they're not focused on what's the customer's journey, what's the relationship journey, and how do I add value to both of those journeys in a way that really builds a relationship. And that equals quicker sales, higher paying clients, stickier clients, and more
Yeah.
opportunities. So at the end of the day, real people having real conversations, making real connections, that's the mission. And I think if everyone just did that, you'd see more success.
Wow, real people making real conversations and connecting with real people. It's really, really amazing how you just make reference with volume. So how do entrepreneurs create a genuine relationship instead of transactional ones?
Man, we need more of this too, right? So I think that the core principle that I teach that aligns here is always add value. And when I say that, you have to understand what that means. So you add value in three ways, and it has nothing to do with your product or service. So we're not talking about selling your service or doing adding value that way. That's great. If someone raises their hand and says, "I need your product or service," great, sell to them. We all need to generate revenue and make money. But the three ways you add value are you solve problems. So you listen, you hear what their challenges are, and you provide solutions, which means podcasts, education, books, resources. Provide resources, that's the second bucket, and you make connections, which is obviously the one that I advocate for. And so if we want to build real relationships, when we're meeting someone, we should be asking questions 80% of the time. So we're learning about the person we're meeting, which allows us to add value, right? By solving problems, providing resources, or making connections. If
Yeah.
every relationship starts that way, instantly you have a deeper, more trusted relationship, and then you can move the relationship forward depending on which direction makes the most sense.
Wow, wow, amazing. And the fact that you say when you started out, you basically were an entrepreneur, you did a whole lot of couples of things. How was your journey like? What was your first job? And because this idea is really, really profound, having to connect with a whole lot of persons and at the end of the day, they turn clients. And it's really amazing way of doing business because now you are not just surrounded by clients, you are surrounded by real people that you have connected with over time. And doing business is quite very lovely. So, what was your entrepreneurship journey? What was your first job, and how was it like? I just want to.
Yeah, so I love this, and I've done a lot of things, and so we'll kind of highlight some of them with some takeaways. And so my
Okay.
first real big business was a digital marketing agency. So back when SEO, search engine optimization, was just starting, at a digital marketing agency, I bought some agencies and then sold it all. From digital marketing, I went into launching a co-working space and manufacturing company at the same time. After those companies, I launched a cat cafe, which was a super random business, but super interesting. I did a stint in corporate in the HR workers' comp world. And through all of that, I've done some form of business consulting. And then I've had equity and revenue shares in a bunch of other companies. So really, I kind of have a very, I call it the American dream story, right? A really entrepreneurship dream story is, I went to college for journalism in English, and I took that ability to interview people and create content, and I went down the marketing path. And instead of working for someone, I decided to do
Yeah.
it myself. Once I caught a taste of entrepreneurship at that scale, I was addicted. And, fast forward to today, lots of businesses, lots of projects later.
Wow. So, what was your earlier struggle when it comes to having clients and connecting with clients and getting hold of them? Because I know definitely this solution actually came from the fact that there was a problem why you're actually getting a whole lot of jobs, being a business owner, and you get to figure it out. So, what was your earlier difficulties when you actually started out?
Yeah. So with that digital marketing agency, what I found is the customer was overwhelmed with decisions. They had so many decisions to make in marketing. They didn't understand what I sold because we were very early on in that industry. And so I caught myself in a situation where all of the books and advice said, this is how you network. This is how you market. This is how you sell. And I was a student of it. I had coaches and mentors and was in masterminds. But as I was executing that stuff, there were a couple problems. One, that sales process didn't work with the customer that was confused and didn't understand what they're buying. And I didn't enjoy the process. I didn't want to cold call. I didn't want to door knock. Like none of that felt enjoyable. So I started to really think through what can I control? And I came to the equation visibility plus credibility equals profitability. And so I looked at how do I make my brand and my business more visible? Right. So where can I sponsor? Where can I show up? What events can I be at? How do I become more visible? Then how do I become more credible, which is create more content, do more presentations, be an authority in places. So sit on board, sponsor things, be highlighted. If I did those two things in enough volume, then it would equal profitability. And so I just went out in the market and I sponsored everything. I attended everything. I spoke everywhere I could. And what happened is the customer started to go, I get what you do. Great. So we eliminated that. And then we had a lot of bad players in our industry. So they went from I get what you do to I get what you do. And I trust you to provide this service that I'm skeptical of. And so that formula allowed me to solve this problem of, all the tactics, always be closing and network like this and door knock and move people this way and try to quick close and all these things. And it's like none of that was working and I didn't enjoy any of it. So I just built a system that fit the way I wanted to build a business. And again, you fast forward a decade later, this week alone, we've received 60 inbound referrals or connections with no marketing. And no marketing, I mean, yeah, we create content and we do podcasts, but there's no ads going, there's no funnels out there. Like it's just connection and it generates more connection. So that's why it was born. And I love what we do today because I actually enjoy it.
Wow, this is really amazing because the other system of more like marketing, which is more of the code DM, the running of ads and every of this particular thing sometimes end up not having more like a real connection with clients. And yeah, which sometimes at the end of the day, the customer will feel like they don't know you and they don't get hard. But owing to the system you just built, it just speaks volume to the fact that, yeah, customer could reach out and just be heard, be listened to, even if they are not willing to buy yet. But at the end of the day, they feel like they trust you later on, owing to, yeah, you were there, you were able to listen to them and you were able to kind of give them blueprints that actually help them out of their confusion. And yeah, this is really amazing. So what are um some of the most common networking mistake professionals make today?
Yeah, the biggest two networking mistakes are going into a networking event hoping that you're going to close a deal. I think people try not to do this, but I still think they get back to it where every person they meet, they're trying to qualify them to determine if they're a prospect. And that is such a limited conversation because we don't know what the person's doing next. We don't know if they're invested in something else. We don't know what they did before. We don't know what their spouse does, their friends do. We have no clue who the person is. And so it's a very limited approach. The other thing is giving out your business cards and contact information and hoping people are going to follow up with you. They're not because everybody sucks at following up. So you've got to show up and be the one who is open to meeting everybody and the one who gathers all the contact information. If you do that, if you meet the most people you can in the allotted amount of time for the networking meeting, and you get as much contact information as you can from the people you're talking to, that's successful because now you can follow up and you can control the process.
Whoa, amazing. I think this is really lovely. Just the fact that just connecting with them or getting to hear their contacts and yeah, get it later on. It's easier to follow up from them compared to business card because yes, I remember the various more like networking event I've went for lately. The number of cards they are giving to me, I hardly check them. Hardly it's only more like when I'm doing some laundry, something. I'm like, oh wow, I have this business card. Really, who give it to me? Sometimes I even lost track of who gave it to me because there was not much narrative to what we discussed that arrive at getting that business card. So it wasn't much of a big deal, but just make reference of the fact that just make it pretty easy. Connect with people, hear them out, ask a whole lot of questions, and because usually once when you ask a whole lot of questions and get to know someone more they will feel hard and they will want to actually easily connect with you compared to you just pitching the ideas for business to them. It look boring and very kind of very dull moment. Yeah, thank you. So you have
100%.
built ACE connection group. What's make the community different from other business network?
Yeah. So ACE's Connection Group is built on three pillars. First, it's free. So that's worth noting because everything I'm about to talk about, everyone has access to. The first pillar is all of my content. So my webinars, my content, my masterclass on the connection expansion system, it's all available. All the email templates, everything's in there. It's all free. The second pillar is expert interviews. So I bring in some of the best people in different industries across the country and world to talk about their expertise and share it. So we've had people talking about, how they manage their money from a billionaire to, how you style yourself and show up to networking to writing books to whatever it is. We have content. And pillar three is really our anchor is we run connection blitz meetings, which is a different style of virtual networking. It's a 1 hour meeting. It's very structured and it has none of the crap that you get with other networking. There's no roles, there's no responsibilities, there's no qualifications. You just show up. It's real connections, real quick. And so those are the three pillars of ACEs. And that's what makes us unique is we provide all the education, we give it all away, and then we invite people to come hang out with us and do amazing networking.
Wow, wow, wow. This is really, really amazing. Is the fact that you give out your you educate more like your audience for free and then invite them. It's a really lovely way of doing business compared to in the old time where a whole lot of persons are more like save would I say keep most of their content and they would want them to be heard. And at the end of the day, our client does not get to connect with them in real time to know what they're all about and to know what they stand to gain. But just make reference of the fact that all your content are out there. Yeah, it's really, really very lovely to see and I know definitely my audience are going to jump on it to learn more about it and yeah, thank you. So, what is one action someone can take right now, listening to this episode, and start building better connection?
My number one recommendation is you are already connected to the people you need to be connected to move your business forward. The issue is you're not approaching those connections properly. So, my recommendation is reach back out to people in your network that you really like, you enjoy, but maybe you're not working together or they're not referring you business and get them back on the calendar and have a connection meeting. And in a connection meeting, what I want you to do is I want you to listen, ask the person a bunch of questions. Who are they serving? Why are they serving them? What is their service offering? Ask some backstory. How'd you get here? Ask where they're going. What's the dream? What's the big vision? Ask them about their challenges and then ask them who you can connect them with. Reset these conversations you're having with your network so that your network doesn't go, oh, Devin's here to sell me something. No, Devin's here to add value to me. Devin is adding value to me. Devin is making connections. And because he's doing those things, it unlocks people's willingness to want to make connections for me, people's willingness to want to help me. And so re engage your network, get meetings on the calendar, and show up differently. And you'll see what happens when you network and do these meetings in a different way.
Wow, this is really, really amazing, and it's the fact that you make reference of call, ask them how can you actually easily help them, because definitely once you ask that question and they actually might like make some certain point of how you can help them. Definitely there is this, yeah, there is this more like this energy that you have actually give out, and at the end of the day they want to return it, being that the answer is going to be more like how can I actually help them? And being that he has actually more like ways way to help me in this particular length. And at the end of the day, it builds more like this energy that, yeah, definitely you give it out, definitely it will return back in, yeah, tens of food and even hundreds food. This is really amazing. So you have owned several business, including marketing agency and even cat cafe. What did those experiences teach you about people and connection?
Yeah. So just in business in general, let me give some advice there. So I like to talk
Yeah.
about the M's when it comes to business. So you have to be motivated. So whatever business you're in, motivation is a very big key. And so if you find that you're lacking motivation, but it's your own company, something's misaligned. Like you have to enjoy what you're doing. You have to want to show up and do it every day. If you built a business that doesn't do that, something has to change because motivation is key. The next M is momentum. You've got to create momentum. So often businesses run on the teeter totter where they run over here and close deals. Then they run over here and have to fulfill the deals. And then they run over here and have to close deals. But in each time, the momentum in either side goes away. So you've got to create momentum. You've got to create awareness, create pipeline, create people's interest in doing business with you. And you have to keep the momentum. You've got to focus on the money. So I think a lot of people mess this part up, right? You have to generate revenue and you've got to pay yourself first. So if you're in business, you have to generate revenue and then you have to make sure that you're actually taking some of that home. A lot of business owners are running $1 million companies or, six-figure companies, but they're paying themselves almost nothing because they're paying their team and resources, all these other things. That's not sustainable. Like that's not a great way to build it. So make sure you're paying attention to your money. And then the last M is mentorship. You have a mentor. So whether you join a mastermind, you hire a coach, you have a peer group of friends that you're mentoring together, you have to have mentorship. So I always recommend in business, focus on the four M's and make sure that you're optimizing your business venture in all four of them. And it will move you away from the bad statistics that a lot of businesses fail and give you a chance to succeed.
Wow, wow. Mentorship, money, motivation. And sorry, what's the last one? This is really lovely.
Momentum? Was
Yeah,
that the one?
momentum,
Momentum,
amazing.
money. Yeah, yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you for actually giving us this blueprint. And I think it's very, very key that every business owner should be motivated about what they do, and they should actually have a mentor too. Which the insight they get to have more like speak volumes to the mentor they will get to have towards what is they are going to kind of talk money about their business. And also money is being needed, being that as much as they are motivated, you have to kind of pay yourself and get some yes some treat from it, so that at the end of the day, keep you motivated to keep showing up every now and then. And this is really a lovely way of actually my life looking at it. So, you have mentioned that connection. You have mentioned the connection expansion exercise. How does that help people shift their ask when networking?
Yeah. So the connection expansion exercise, I mean, there's a lot of pieces that are core, but really it's the one thing that if you implement, it changes everything. And so when I teach people the exercise, I like to use real estate as an example because a lot of people can resonate. If I ask a realtor, who do you want to be connected to? They typically will answer with their ideal client profile. So it might be a first time buyer, it might be a move up buyer, it might be someone who's downsizing, right? So empty nesters. They're going to answer with one of those profiles. Great. A savvy realtor will go from one to one, which is the client, to one to many, which is a referral partner. And they're typically going to say a mortgage lender or an insurance agent, because those are the two people that work with realtors. Where the connection expansion exercise comes in is we go beyond all of that and we look at the 6 buckets that have access to your clients. So, vendors, where do your clients spend money? Education, where do your clients seek education? Gather, where do your clients get together and gather in a place? Influence, so who do they go to for influence or who has influence over them? Trust, who do they trust? That's typically a deeper relationship, therapists, counselors, financial advisors, CPAs, lawyers. And last but not least is connectors. Who are the people that know everybody, especially in the industry your target client is actively playing in or the hobbies that they're pursuing? So we look at the 6 buckets and we adjust our ask to align with one of the strategic partners in the 6 buckets. So if we go back to my answer earlier, when people ask Devin, who do you want to connect with? I answer with mastermind hosts and community hosts. Why? Because I want to come and speak in their communities and add value. And there's no friction there because I'm not trying to sell them anything. I'm trying to sell them on, I want to come and add value to your people. And all they have to say is like, yeah, that'd be great. And yes, I'm going to invite you to ACES, which is free, or you can download my book, which is free. And so that's the shift in ask. So if your ask is stuck in only talking about your client or only asking for the very limited referral partners your industry is known for asking for, you're missing a huge opportunity. And so the way I want you to think about this is I want you to become the authority in rooms where your competition isn't playing. So I'm going to say it again. I want you to become the authority in rooms where your competition isn't playing. The only way to accomplish that is to go after the 6 buckets, not the stuff the rest of the people in your industry are going after.
Wow, wow. Wow, wow, this is really, really amazing. I think it's the fact that the example you actually just gave about the creator just speak volumes. So it cut across every business, and just sitting down to look at the 6 bucket of how where which vendors does your ideal client spend time on, where did they get their educations, where did they gather, who actually influence them, who did they trust? And yeah, those things are really, really key when it comes to seeing it in a big picture of what the business could actually be. And this is really amazing, being that you could easily get uh, a whole lot of referrals from this particular point without having to spend much. Compared to when you're using more like, this is really amazing, I must say, and seeing more like connection from this particular point of view. It's really an amazing way to even close you compared to just looking forward to more like just the separate persons alone who could do business with you, not knowing that from this particular bucket list you could get tons of them from them. And thank you so much for sharing, uh, Devin. Okay, So, what is the best way to approach potential partner or clients without coming across pushy or desperate?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think a lot of people, so I like to use the phrase commission breath. So a lot of people have commission breath, which is where you're pushing, they feel the motive and agenda. And so what you have to do is you have to put yourself in the other person's shoes, especially with partners or strategic partners, referral partners. You have to think about what do they need and what's in it for them. And if you can present you to fit with that, you win. So often people come and try to sell, like, I'm the best. I've done all these things. Here's my statistics. This is why I'm great. But you haven't taken the time to figure out what their motive is. So if we talk to the person and go, okay, great. What are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? What are you trying to do? And we listen and then we go, okay, I think I can help you solve one of those problems by maybe promoting you to my network, or I can do a list blast to my clients, or I can invite you to create content for my community. So now we've already put on the table a way we can help them. It now makes it easier for them to open the conversation up. Okay, Devin, that's great. Well, what can I do for you? Well, based on what you told me, I'd love to come speak to your people. Do you bring speakers in? Or I heard you have a big email list or a big social presence. Why don't we do a LinkedIn Live together? Or would you do an email blast for me? But you do that part after you've already figured out how to add value to them. And so I think a lot of joint ventures, referral partner relationships, it's so much this very closed-minded idea of like, I have a great product, you're just going to refer me, right? And then everyone nods their head and goes, yeah. And then you get off the meeting and nothing happens because you haven't motivated the other person properly. Sometimes the other person is like, hey, if I refer a bunch of people to you and I pay you commission, does that excite you? And a lot of people are like, yeah, I could make a couple $100 or $1,000 referring someone to you. Sure. Great. If that's all that it needs to balance the scales. So again,
Yeah.
ask the other person and understand where they're coming from and what their motives are, and then come to an agreement where both of you win and it's mutually balanced. That's going to be a good partnership or a good referral relationship.
Wow. Wow. Amazing, amazing. Just viewing it from the part that win-win and it's really amazing. And being that as the entrepreneur now, who doesn't want to sound pushy when it comes to reaching out to clients, it's really more like a very key that you ask a whole lot of key questions and see what difference way can you help. And once that has been done, the equation will balance because they want to help you too. And yeah, and this is really amazing way of actually more like saying it. And yeah, thank you. So, in a world dominated by social media, how can entrepreneurs stand out and create meaningful professional relationship online? Because I know online is quite difficult. With what we have said so far, it's easier for me to just reach out to vendors where they are being educated together or where they are being influenced and make reference of and being able to kind of tailor this particular thing. But when it comes to online, how do you think that entrepreneur could actually stand out with the way they actually approach?
Yeah. So I'm just going to echo a lot of the stuff I've said. Think
Yeah.
about what you want, right? So think about how you want to engage with someone. So we can use LinkedIn as an example. If you're on LinkedIn, like me, you probably receive a dozen messages a day with people pitching you something, and you can smell it and you can feel it, right? They connect. I accept the connection. Great. Love connecting with people. And then you get a message that sounds decent, like, hey, what are you excited about? What are you working on? Like some generic thing that gets you to engage in a conversation, maybe. And then like the next message is, I do this thing, I serve these people. Is that of interest? Do you want to buy my product? Like we just like went from barely knowing each other. We didn't even date really. And then now you want to get
Yeah.
married. And it's like, it doesn't work. And so I think you have to think through the conversation. And this is where I see a lot of people go wrong is they have a client journey, right? The client journey is understood. I educate my client, they express interest, I nurture and validate, I show that I'm an incredible authority, and I make it easy for them to buy. You have to think about the relationship journey. So we're two humans who just connected. That's pretty easy. Most people will accept requests if you look professional and you have some people in common. Great. Then you have to think through the conversation. What would be beneficial for me to learn about this person? So I like to ask questions like, what's your worst networking experience? What's your best networking experience? Who are you targeting? How can I help? Who can I connect you with? So I ask questions that allow me to learn about the person. And then I always ask how I can help them. And then this is where you have to have a business built properly. what is your free piece of information you can give away, right? Hey, based on what you expressed, like I have this free guide. Would you like a copy? Here's a copy. Or I have this free community. Why don't you come and hang out with us? Or I host this free meeting. Why don't you come there? Or I have this free webinar. Or I have this low ticket offer. Based on what you said, it might be a fit. A lot of people mess up because they rush to get married and they only sell this really high ticket thing. There's no other way for people to engage with you. So you can
Yeah.
join my newsletter, you can download my book, you can go join our community, right? All of those things you can do free of charge. Then, yes, you can do strategy sessions and I charge for that. You can join our other community, which is paid. Like, yes, there's a journey, but when we're building online, you've got to focus your conversation properly and then make sure that the content you're posting matches. A lot of people, when they post content, every piece of content is about selling the thing, right? Post educational content, post behind the scenes, post content about your family, like post other things that show people who you are as a person. And so if you're going to be online, post frequently and good content and make sure that your conversation is actually a conversation, not just a sales pitch.
Whoa, make sure they're actually more like a conversations and not a sales pitch. And I think it's very, very needed, being that a whole lot of social media these days, they are not showing up as though they are not humans. They are just more like a robot behind the scene or more like other stuff. And you just make reference of, yeah, sure, post different content without sounding salesy. And I think it's very, very key owing to this age at time. People want to connect with real people. They actually want to see themselves in those pictures. They want to see themselves in this particular move to be able to be connect with them in person. And I think just this strategy just speak volumes to how you could do it right. Uh, yeah, without having to actually more like sounds easy. Well, in every more like post you actually make out there. So how can professional balance authenticity and scalability when automating our outreach or follow up?
So the first thing I tell people is never automate anything until you've perfected it. A lot of people, I think, are rushing to automation right now. The other side of that is picking a tool that you think is amazing and then forcing your system and process to fit the tool. The reason you've got to build your system and process and get it dialed in first is then you can find a tool that supports it. Once you do that, you can then automate it. So yes, I use the exact same email templates for following up from a meeting. I use the same template when booking a meeting, the same template for saying thank you, the same template for nurturing. And now my VA, my virtual assistant, can manage that process because they have the templates and they know what frequency to send stuff. Or some of the things we automate. So I can fill a form out, hit go, and it tracks and it sends you everything. Hey, I'm looking forward to meeting with you. Here's the invite. Here's the invite. Here's the invite on a sequence and a cadence. But again, I can only do all of that because I've proved that it works for my system with my language the way we do it. So my advice is don't just shove people onto a newsletter and hope that that's building a rapport. Like it should be direct one-to-one messages, ask about the other person, and then don't automate anything until you've tested it and figured out that it works. Then automate it, then get the tools that help you streamline it, but make sure it works first.
Yeah, amazing. I think this is a very nice advice. Don't automate thing. You actually more like perfect it thing. You sort it out that it work, and I've used it over time before you actually more like automate. And thank you so much, Devin, for that. And what kind of meetings should entrepreneurs be trying to book, and how can they make those conversations productive? Owing to the fact that there are a whole lot of events all around, what kind of yeah conversation should they be reaching out for?
Yeah, so when you book a meeting with someone, a lot of people call
Yeah.
them coffee meetings or virtual coffees, right? So that's fine. We can use that language. When you show up to the coffee meeting, the first thing is the length of time. I think people give themselves too much time. And when you have too much time, it allows the conversation to go too many places and it allows you to not be very, very focused. So if you're doing an in-person meeting, an hour is probably needed because you need to buy the drink, find the table, sit down, do the things. If you're doing a virtual meeting, you can do a virtual meeting in 30 minutes max. I do my virtual meetings in 15 minutes. And I find that I'm actually more effective in the shorter meeting because it allows me to say, hey, it's so great to meet you. Where do you live? And then I can ask questions, right? Who do you serve? Why do you serve them? Who's a perfect fit client? Give me some backstory. Where are you going? What's in the way? How can I help? Those are the 5 questions or 5 types of questions. And then it leaves a little bit of time at the end where they're like, oh, we're running out of time, Devin. What do you do? And then I can be very quick, right? This is what I do. This is who I serve. This is how I serve them. This is why it's important. So I help who do what, how I do it, why it's important. Help who do what, how I do it,
Yeah.
why it's important. If that meeting structure should be the focus for the first meeting, just like when you're networking, you want to control the situation. And so I always want to ask the first question. I want to gather as much information as I can, because the more information I gather, the more I know, are you an ideal client, or are you one of the 6 buckets that has access to my ideal client? Or are we friends? Or could you be in my inner circle? Or do you have access to stages and podcasts and all these other things? So again, the more I know, the easier it is for me to figure out, hey, I heard you say this. Could we explore that? Or, oh, I heard you have a podcast. Like, are you looking for guests? I'd love to come on. Like, the more questions you ask, the better. So that's the meeting you should be having. So often people go into these coffee meetings and they just stumble through some Q&A, or they let the other person take over. But if the other person takes over and you learn nothing about them, how do you follow up? How do you add value? How do you provide resources? Right back to what we've discussed.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for that. Are there language that one should avoid when it comes to connecting with when it comes to more like building new business relationship? Are there language that entrepreneurs should actually avoid while connecting?
Yeah, anything that's salesy, right? So, I like to use people's email signatures as an example. I think it's great in your email signature to highlight things, right? It should be easy to connect with you on social, to book a meeting with you, to have your email, to have a phone if that's important for your industry, a link to your book. All of those things are great, but your email should not be like, here's the 99 awards I've run. Here's my special offer currently for the price. Here's the, like, we don't need to be selling right then. That's one example. But in all of the outreach, we've got to stop selling. And so the quote I want you to remember is, everybody wants to buy, nobody wants to be sold.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to buy, nobody wants to be sold. We live in a society that teaches us to buy stuff. We are all really good at buying stuff. You don't need to sell me. You need to make it easy for me to buy,
Yeah.
right? And you need to be available when I need you, but never use language that feels salesy. And so think about all your stuff. We have GPT. So just go to GPT and drop your email in and go, is there sales language in here? And if it says yes, get rid of it and resend the message in a way that's not as salesy, that's focused on the other person. You're going to have a lot more success.
Wow, wow, amazing. So can you share more like a success stories or of one connection completely change the trajectory of your business or that of your client?
Yeah, I like to use the what if statements here. So in my book, I've got a stack of what if statements. And so I want people to understand that, the subtitle for my book is "You're one connection away from massive success in your life and business." It says life and business, right? So we're talking a lot about revenue, and yes, we want new clients. So sure, connections are going to open referrals that equal business. Great. But they equal other things. So I'm speaking at an event in November. I was given that opportunity to speak at the event in November because I was referred to somebody, right? I went on vacation this year and paid almost nothing because I was referred to someone who happened to plug me into a trip that they had, right? I got free upgrades for stuff. I'm in a mastermind without paying. Like, it's all of these things because of the relationships that are formed. And so it could be new jobs, it could be cheaper vendors, it could be better trips, it could be new clients, it could be new relationships, it could be new partners, new coaches, new mentors, new business opportunities, new career. It doesn't matter, because when you build a huge network with a lot of meaningful relationships, anything's possible. And so my hope for you is that you build a network where no matter what you need, it's available when you need it because you've put the work into building the network.
Wow, wow, amazing. This is really profound. It just shows that there is not an end to what connection could actually more like bring you to once you actually more like started, right? And the fact that it can cascade to different aspects, and there's no limit to it. Devin, tell us more about your book, and also how can my audience connect with you and get to do business with you?
Yeah, so you can go to Amazon and you can search Connection Expansion Book. That'll take you to the book. It's in all formats. You can listen to me talk for an hour and 54 minutes if you want to hear me read it, or you can buy it in whatever format you want. You can go to devinsizemore.com, DEVIN, size then more.com. Everything else is on there. You can see the link to ACEs. You can see links to my services, testimonials, speaking stuff, whatever else you want's available there. So check out the book, check out the website, and come say hi.
Amazing. This conversation has been packed with wisdoms and practical insight. You have reminded us that connection isn't just about who you know, it's about how you build a relationship that creates opportunity and lasting impact. To everyone listening, if you want to deepen your network and scale through meaningful relationship, join the ACE Community Society at school.com/ACE/connections societies/about. David, thank you for sharing your time and your stories and your strategies with us today in the Aro Benaiah Show. Once again, it's a pleasure having you.